I was seeing the numbers and I was like stressed.
Yes, I have my own things that I like and I want to do myself.
And I would also see things that you were buying that I wouldn't deem necessary.
Like I was paying for my own stuff, you were paying for your own stuff, but we were still fighting.
We had $4,000 of debt on the credit card.
You're such a penny pincher. Buy something for yourself. Hey, baby.
Hello, hello.
And we're back with another episode of At Our Place with Megan and Sherell. I'm Sherell.
And I'm Megan.
So if you're new here, welcome. We are wives turned bandmates. Turned podcast hosts, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Content creators.
Not
creative
really.
Geniuses.
I feel like we just do that for fun, and then we do a lot of other stuff that's also fun.
How are you doing, baby?
My heart rate is kind of going.
Oh, why is that?
Because we keep getting haters.
Oh, well, we just gotta get that out of our heads.
I'm trying.
Yeah.
Honestly, they're not that big of a deal, but it's just like when we update our YouTube or post a short, then you get notified, oh, another person commented on your video and they're saying something. Somebody just said women are crazy.
I know. I feel like that's gonna be our new tagline.
Hashtag women are crazy.
Women be crazy, am I right, dudes?
Well, yeah. So
I think that comes with, like, if you're starting anything new that's brave or scary or risky. Like, we only started our YouTube stuff earlier this year,
a few months ago. Yeah.
So I feel like doing anything crazy will bring in some people that are confused by you, or even like family members or people that are like, oh, this is interesting, and
maybe you shouldn't say that online.
yeah, it's scary putting ourselves out online, but it's super fun. I like doing stuff with you.
I do too, and I like doing stuff with them, the people in our home. I like it. How are you?
I'm doing good. I really want to try this tea, actually.
Okay, so I don't know if they can see it.
So Sherell's parents got these special, how do you say them?
They're just Celadon Korean tea cups with like the infuser on the inside.
They're from Korea.
Yes.
So we're going to try them out. We got them as a gift.
Yeah, my parents and my nephews went to Korea to visit my brother, and they mailed this to us, which is nice because I miss Korea.
They're so pretty. They're gorgeous. If you're listening on the podcast, take a little peep at our YouTube video because these tea cups are beautiful.
They're so pretty.
People just treat us to nice things sometimes, I feel like.
I love it when it's one of my favorite things is when people go and travel and then they think of me and they bring me little things. But
yeah, if any of you guys are traveling anywhere interesting, feel free to send us some fun goodies.
Well, I'm not going to give you our home address, but we'll create a P.O. box.
Yeah. We'll create a P.O. box just so we can receive gifts.
Yes.
One of our love languages is gifts. I think today is going to be interesting.
Why?
Because we're talking about moolah.
Ooh, money, honey.
Money.
Money. Why? Do you have some? Do you have some money?
Do I have?
Can I have it?
A hidden stash. When I was in college, when me and Sherell met, I played a lot of gigs.
Oh, you bugged me with this.
I played a lot of musical gigs, and I apparently just had like money all in my room. I'm
shaking my head for those just listening on the podcast because I'm like shaking my head and rolling my eyes at Megan right now.
I was in that part of my life where I was completely taken care of. I was still partially dependent on my parents, mostly dependent.
Spoiled. That's the word we're looking for, folks.
Yeah, it was just a phase of my life, and I was playing these gigs and I was getting all these dollar tips.
I went in her room, like she shared a house with her college roommates, and her room, first of all, was filthy. You were filthy.
It was
absolutely filthy.
I had different piles for different things.
No, like you had like your dirty laundry mixed with your clean laundry, mixed with your shoes, mixed with your gig stuff, and then you had like your recording things, but it was also like you stacked clothes and cups on top of that.
My room was basically a music studio mixed with college student like place that was not super organized.
It was filthy.
I had little, as Sherell will call it, hamster nests of just dollar
cash.
bills.
She had cash. So like when I would hang out with her, I'd be in her room just chilling, and she would have like, I'd be like, what the heck is that? You have like a 20 on the floor. And then I'd pull out that 20, and behind that 20 is like 70 more dollars. I'm like, this is just one pile. Like, I went around your room one time while I was like at your house waiting for you to get off of work. And I was like, this woman has at least $350 on the floor.
You're like counting the money. Like
I like smoothed it out and stuck it on your piano. I said, this is as much as I can find right now.
This is when we were like, I feel like we were friends, but we were also pretty much together. And she was like, what is happening?
It was that funny. It's that funny time where you're like not dating, but you're like dating.
A little bit possessive of each other or something.
Yeah.
But I'll just dive right in if that's cool with you.
Oh, yeah, but shmoney.
It's so funny that we come up with all these little ways to say it, like mamula mula.
Moolah.
Shmoney.
Shmoney.
My sister says, get that bag. Get that coin.
Get that coin.
I think that's my favorite.
Catch that coin, peasants.
So
by the way, thank you for stopping that habit of storing all of our money around the house. I appreciate that. Unless you still do that and you've just gotten better at hiding it.
That would be kind of counterintuitive to the whole like marriage thing if I had little stashes of money.
That would be really funny though. It would be like a nice little Easter egg hunt for me.
Sherell will find like $5 or $20 bills in her wallet from like
it's amazing. I love ADHD.
A friend like had paid her for gas or something like that, and then because of her ADHD she'll just
Where did this come from? Somebody slipped me a 20.
She just magically got money in her wallet, and then she'll just think, I could just spend this on whatever.
Spend it on what I want. It doesn't go in the budget because it's magic money.
We'll get to the budget and how we do our money and everything like that. I just thought that was funny.
Yes. So as you probably have guessed, we're talking about
if we haven't said it enough times,
we're talking about
those dollar bills, y'all.
Make me want to kill y'all. Is that the next verse? That was it, right?
Yeah.
Boom.
That's from Empire.
If you haven't watched it, watch it. But also, like, don't watch the later seasons.
It's a good show. So I used to be quite a saver.
Yeah, tell me about how you grew up with money, what your habits were.
So I think that's why I didn't mind the little piles of dollar bills in my room, because I had a savings account. And
why wasn't it in the savings account?
What?
Why wasn't the money on the floor in the savings account?
Because I just had like a mental note of where everything was, and it's such a hassle to put it in the bank when
Meanwhile, I'm like checking under the couch to see if I can find any quarters. For myself in my house, I'm like, let me see.
You're like, do I have any money that I can
have any more money?
No. So I grew up being quite a saver. My parents took us to the bank when we were little kiddos, and they had us open savings accounts and bank accounts when we were like 7 or 8 or 10, and they had this idea for us, which I'm really thankful for. They had this idea of, hey, every time you put money into your savings account, we will match it, put double that in there, and then after you're 18, you'll just get to keep all of it.
Ooh,
but
that's nice of them.
I know, it was nice of them. I got treated. So every time you take out money because you want to spend something from your savings, you have to take out double and give half of it back to the parents until you're 18. So after 18, you get to keep all of it. So anyway,
your parents just gave you free money.
Mm-hmm. But you got to keep all of their like investments, I guess.
So like if you bought yourself an iPod for like $300, you'd have to pull out $600 and give them.
Yeah, but the idea is like if you put in money, then they would double it anyway. It's just like after you're 18, you get to keep all of it. So that was kind of their incentive to help us learn how to save money for big things. And we also got like little allowances every week, and we got to, like, my parents helped us figure out how to buy little things for ourselves. If it was anything extra, like a little iPod Touch or the iPod Shuffle. I think I bought myself an iPod Shuffle.
Well, your parents bought half of it sounds like.
No. It's hard to kind of explain.
No, I think I got the gist of it. You got free money from your family, and they taught you saving principles along the way. I don't think it's complicated. Yeah, it's hard to explain.
Even though my parents explained it to us as children.
It's very simple.
No. So I would save, like, pretend I saved $100 in the bank. My parents would also put $100 in the bank.
That's nice.
But if I wanted to buy something that was $100, I would have to take out $200 and give them $100. So basically, it was just everything I saved until I was 18. Then I got to keep everything that they invested.
How did you make money as a kid?
We had like a $5 allowance every week for doing chores, even though I didn't do my chores.
I'm doing the math on that. I want to see how much money you got for free.
I also, did like part-time jobs when I was in high school, stuff like that. But
okay, but let's say, when did they start this money system?
I don't know.
It's a calculator. It's a money thing. And I'm pulling out a calculator.
I don't know that this really matters.
18. Let's say they started at 4 years old for you.
I also,
years.
Honey,
what?
I also started my own businesses when I was a very young person. I would make these little rings, like little craft rings, and I would sell them to my mom's friends for like $10. So I would like have these little businesses. I would also have lemonade stands and like make money that way. So I'm a money mogul, y'all.
Wow.
How did you grow up with money? What are your tendencies?
Not that. That's for sure.
You're like, I'm not a nerd.
No. Well, I am, but not a math money nerd. Which, side note, that's why I stopped calculating, because I just got bored. I no longer care. I like the narrative of you got a lot of money for free. Okay. That's what we're rolling with.
That's being a child of I guess wealthy, good with money parents.
You guess wealthy. Yes, your parents are wealthy. It's okay to say that, but they earned it. Mm-hmm. So
okay, go ahead. Your
okay
turn.
So me, what was your question?
My question was, how did you grow up with money? What are your tendencies?
So my parents were always really good with money. Well, particularly my dad. I think my mom was too. They're a team. But my parents got married at 18. My dad had been working probably since he was like 12. Like he's a mechanical engineer. He's just very smart. So he always like built incubators and sold birds, or he had like paper routes. So my dad was always very good with money. And when him and my mom got married at 18, they together just took care of their finances. So my parents have always been very hardworking and very smart with money. I do know that my mom is a bit of a spender. So a trait that I also share. So
like mother, like daughter.
Yeah, but I do know like my parents, they did like the jar system for us. Like, here's how much you give to charity, here's how much you save, and here's how much you get to keep to spend.
Can I say a tangent? Yeah. We had God jars. So if you're in the Christian faith or at all, they say like give 10% to the church or charity or whatever. And so we had little jars called God jars, and we were supposed to put 10% of like, so little coins or whatever in there of what we earned as kids.
I will say that 10% thing, it always bothered me as a teenager, because the church would always give like a sermon on, like they would preach about giving right around like a certain time of year every single time. And then they would get a new sound system. Like right after, they would like, oh, we bought a new toy or whatever. I'm like, That's very interesting.
You're very perceptive.
Yes, I watched adults' behavior as a teenager, and I was like, something's not lining up here. I don't know why I'm giving to you. I'll give to myself to give to somebody else. Yeah, so no, as a kid, my parents, I don't remember, probably like 16 or something, we opened up our first bank account, like a savings account. I wasn't a very good saver, so there was almost no money in there ever. And I don't remember if we had a checking account with it. I do remember my first bank account, I kept overdrafting, and then I'd have to pay like $40 for that. So then I was just like, this is a ripoff. So,
bank accounts, rip off.
so I don't know about this. So I'd keep it in my like little jar at home and then just hide it in my room, usually in my like drawer in the back of my clothing drawer, because I have siblings and they steal. Talking to you, you know who you are. You know which one of you you are.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so I wasn't very good at saving money, but I was good at making money.
Ooh.
So, because I've always been a hard worker, I've always liked working with my hands or doing something mentally challenging. So I was always earning money, and we actually had to earn our money. We didn't just get it for free.
Hey, we had chores.
Did you do them?
I was supposed to vacuum, and I did that whenever my mom told me to. Sorry, Mom.
So you got free money. We had to earn ours. So we had like our regular, like, okay, we had 6 kids in our family, like not including my birth family. Like we had 6 kids growing up in our family. And so we were constantly having chores just to keep the house normal and livable, because we had like 14 pets at one time as well. And we were homeschooled. So we had a lot going on.
14 pets?
Yeah.
What can you explain what pets you had all at one time?
Snakes, a parrot, hamsters, guinea pigs, fish, dogs, cats. I'm forgetting some stuff.
This is crazy.
But I remember counting in one of the places we lived, we had 14 animals at one time.
Whoa.
So, yeah.
I wasn't just going to let that slide.
So everybody has. My parents have a farm now, so I feel like it's pretty normal.
You're like 6 kids, 14 pets.
Yeah, it's normal. And we've always had like chickens and rabbits and stuff like that.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Anyway, so in my family, like there's like you're always having to work, like in order to be a productive member of the family, which taught us to be productive members of society. Like we had to like work to earn money. We didn't just get like free money. So it was like you have to baseline, these are your regular chores that you have to do because you're a member of our family and you don't go to work. But then beyond that, if you want money, then these are the chores that you can do to earn money.
Nice.
So it was like mowing or like kind of bigger stuff like that. Like teaching Moesha a violin.
Nice.
That was a chore.
How did that work out?
I think I was more passionate than she was about it.
Oh, that's a sweet idea, though. So how, when you're kind of teenager, young adult, what's your natural tendencies like? How has it been for you? Because I talked about my little piles of dollars on the floor.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I was very good at making it, very bad at saving it, because I liked spending. There was like a thrill I got from like, oh my gosh, I saved up this, now I can go buy that. So I always was buying like CDs. Yes, I'm that old.
No, I mean, I bought CDs
I don't
too.
know.
We just don't talk about them now.
We're millennials. No, I was buying CDs or books. I pretty much think that's what I spent my money on, was CDs and books.
So wholesome.
All the time. When we met, I was like, I don't think I ever had more than $1,000 in my bank account at a time. I was just always like, oh, I gotta hustle. Am I gonna do rent? Am I gonna do gas? Am I gonna do groceries? Like I was always working overtime, like 12-hour shifts, 5 days a week, sometimes 6 days a week. But I just never had many. So.
I think I was like just out of college when we started dating, and so I had probably thousands of dollars of savings because I was like dependent, and then I had saved money because that's my natural tendency. And then I started working like part-time after college, and then I realized my savings are dwindling because being an adult means you have to have a full-time job to pay for
You're
rent.
like, this is unpleasant.
Yeah, it was kind of a rude awakening of like, oh, this is how much rent costs.
Yeah, I feel like attitudes start to change when you become fully independent and you're like, don't use all my toilet paper because it costs money. You know?
For some reason in my head, I thought that like Trader Joe's cost like so much more money. Like it was so fancy. And so I was like, I'm not shopping there anymore. I have to go to Food for Less.
Is that why you exclusively went to Food for Less
Probably.
when we were dating?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh my gosh.
I was like, this is no joke. I
was like, I'm at the poor people's store, which
one time I got milk there and it was already expired.
that's disgusting. That's too low.
So when we got together,
Yes.
it was kind of tough for us for a little bit
Yeah.
in terms of money. So for those of you that haven't tracked our timeline, we met, and then when I graduated from college, we pretty much started dating and moved in together at the same time. Sounds kind of crazy saying it, but that's how it worked out.
That's how it worked out. Don't judge us.
Yeah, we were spending all day, every day together. We moved in and smooth sailing ish. It was a little rough in the first year or so though. And money was one of those areas. I think it was because we were living together and we were getting groceries together. We were doing a bunch of stuff together, and we like, in my head, I was like, okay, so I grew up with the idea of you are separate until marriage, that type of thing. And so that was especially true of money and finances.
Yeah, so we were paying for our own bills.
Yeah, it was like, okay, we'll split this and then we'll split that and da 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 da. And so I feel like it's not normal what happened to us, but you were on workers' comp.
Yeah, so I wasn't making very much money at my job in the first place, and then I got injured on the job, so I was recovering for 5 months. And my workers' comp case, like, you basically get about 60% of what you make.
And where we live, that's like tough. Like,
yeah. Like, you basically need to make twice as much as you make to live, and I was making like a third of what I needed to make.
Yeah.
Or 2/3 of what I needed to make. So yeah.
I'll speak for myself for values. I don't think I was fair to you in a lot of ways because I was like, oh, well, so many people in my family would tell me your partner, your girlfriend, like they need to be able to stand on their own 2 feet while you're dating and like stuff like that. And so I think that was tough for me because I didn't have a lot of like grace. I got frustrated financially with you.
That's fair.
But I feel like you being injured is not a normal thing when you're dating. And like, so I could have easily like just taken care of you more in that way without feeling like conflicted about it.
I hear you and I appreciate that. But I also feel like if we had a child who was a new adult and they started dating somebody, I would advise them against doing what we did.
It was just hard. Like, it would be like, oh, I bought the groceries. Maybe like I was just struggling with like, I feel like I bought more stuff and it was because we were living together, which already kind of like crossed one of the lines that I didn't intend on crossing with like somebody that I was dating. So it was kind of already in that space. And
yeah, the thing about workers' comp is like you still have all of your regular bills, but now you're making about half of what you need to make. So, and you can't go get another job because you're on workers' comp. So,
and it was more complicated too because I could sense that you were more of a spender and I was more of a saver. So I saw that too in the whole mess of things. And
you basically just got very judgy and frustrated. And I got very shame-filled because like it wasn't like I was asking you for money all the time. It was that our like things were not always equal. Like you had a full-time job with benefits, a lot of money in your savings account. You were doing very well. And I was like struggling. I didn't start off struggling when we first met, but very soon after we started dating, I got like injured. I remember literally having a continuous feeling when I would go to the store, like, can I put gas in my car or pay for these groceries, or when is rent due and when is my phone bill due? Like I just had this running tally of my bills and the dates that they were like due, because I never wanted to like overdraft, because I didn't use a credit card, because I knew I was bad with money, so I definitely didn't want to throw a credit card into the mix.
I gotta like commend you for that, like for choosing not to have a credit card for so long, because that's just like, I grew up with my parents saying, oh, you want to like build your credit score and stuff like that. Yeah. And you knowing like, if I have a credit card, I will like go into debt.
It's
like,
game over. I'll be in debt. And I was already trying to like actively get out of debt because I had ended up in the hospital. I like got pneumonia, stopped breathing, and ended up in the hospital. Had this like $7,000 hospital bill that I was trying to pay off. So I didn't want any more debt.
Yeah. So gotta commend you on that.
Yeah, of course. Thanks. Appreciate it.
So how did we get on the same page?
Well, that first year was tough because I think I overshot what I would owe in taxes or something. For the first time, I needed to like ask you for help financially. And then that's when all this stuff came out and we fought. And then we kind of like resolved it. Like we talked it through, but it was always kind of like there underlying. And then it would come up like through the next year, because I would get better at taking care of my finances and I was getting more out of debt, and then I was off of workers' comp, so I was able to make money again. But I think that thing, like that tension, was always underneath.
Yeah, I think we were combined in so many other ways, like living together and being together as a couple and moving towards, I think, like engagement and marriage.
Yeah, we were talking about getting engaged. We were talking about being married, all that stuff.
Yeah, but I think what the core of what that was maybe not fear, but just scarcity mindset of like, if Sherell can't take care of herself, stuff like that. And that's kind of like judgy. And I would also see things that you were buying that I wouldn't deem necessary, or
and I was buying a lot of stuff for you, to be fair.
Yeah, so it was just a whole tricky thing when we were doing everything together except buying stuff and finances.
Yeah. So it's like our lives were going more and more and more together, but our finances weren't because of our upbringing. And I was proud. I was like, I didn't want to depend on you, you know, and you didn't want me to depend on you either. And when we had like our life coaches and our counselors, you know, that helped a lot of things. So we reached a place in our relationship where a lot of our fights were resolved, but the money thing was still a thing. Like I was paying for my own stuff, you were paying for your own stuff, but we were still fighting.
I remember the moment that mentality started to change for me. So one of your mentors talked to you and they basically said, you know, you guys are looking towards, I think we might have been engaged at that point. Yeah. or going towards
or like I had bought the ring and was planning or something like that.
Yeah, we were like moving in that direction, and
which I bought with cash, by the way, my money. It was nice.
So we were like going towards that direction, and your mentor had said, you guys just need to start doing money together. And I think that's the first time for me that an adult older than us, like my parents' age, had said that that's okay for us to do money together. Because
your parents were very protective of you when it came to me after you came out to them. They were like, okay, well, don't merge anything.
Yeah, it's a very like traditional mindset, you know, don't move in together before marriage, don't do money together before marriage, and
don't own anything together, like animals or cars or any assets together.
Yeah. Which, yeah, I mean, I've seen that get complicated when some of our friends have broken up, or, you know, it just gets complicated. But for us, it was like, this is what needs to happen. Like, it was just a huge relief when somebody said that we could do money together. And I was like, whew.
Yeah, I remember that conversation because we kept fighting about money. And I remember talking to my mentor and being like, I just feel constantly judged and watched for how I spend my money. And I feel like I feel like we developed a parent-child type of relationship.
Yeah.
Just in this area where it was like you watching over my shoulder at how I spent the money that I earned, and me just being like, I'm not going to listen to you. You know, I'm going to spend this because I want to now. Yeah. Just to spite you. It's very immature.
Yeah. So we resolved that mentality, like acknowledged it and figured out how to best respect each other and work together with money, and how I can compromise of like, okay, yeah, I probably should buy new whatever that I haven't been buying because I'm a saver.
Yeah, like you would never buy yourself like new toothpaste or new razors or new things. I was just like, buy something for yourself.
I always brushed my teeth. I never like didn't have toothpaste.
You would use mine though. Like I would buy toothpaste and then you would use it. So I was just like, you're such a penny pincher. Mm-hmm. And then you're looking over at me because I bought $12 wine. And you're like, that's not a necessity.
But then I would also enjoy it.
Yeah. Also, I love you so much, but you are a high maintenance person to date at the beginning.
No, I just appreciated certain, like I appreciated when you would buy things.
I was trying to act like a baller and I did not have the bank account to back it.
I think I appreciated it. And then once we started living together, I was like, we don't need that. Oh,
that isn't sustainable. I was like, okay, well, you liked it 2 seconds ago. Anyway, I'm glad we made it through. And I remember that specific time. There were a couple things that happened at one time. My mentor talked to us about like, are you guys partners? Or are you guys just girlfriends? And we're like, well, we're partners. And she said, well, then you need to be partners. And partners move together in all of the areas.
And I was like, we can do that?
Yes.
And we didn't get a joint like bank account or anything.
No, but that was real quick. The other thing that was happening simultaneously is like we got engaged and we realized we were going to have a big wedding to pay for. And nobody was going to help us pay for it. So we realized if we wanted to have the type of wedding that we wanted to have, we would need to come up with that money ourselves. And we weren't willing to go into debt for it. So those two things happened simultaneously.
I think a year or so before our wedding, like we sent out the invitations and everything. And we were like both working at that point. We were like, okay, we need to save like $1,000 or more a month, something crazy. And
I think it was like $1,500 a month.
Somehow I basically made a spreadsheet of here's all the things we're gonna have to pay for.
You went into full nerd mode. Full nerd mode.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of like the numbers person. I don't know.
I appreciate that. Like, I'm not mad at it.
But I made you do it with me because I was like, I'm not gonna do all the math stuff. Like, we sat down and we tried to like budget the wedding together, and I think that's one of the first times that we like.
Yeah, and we allowed each other because we wanted to be partners now and work together towards a relationship in the future. So you gave me your login to your bank account and let me see how you paid your side of stuff. And I gave you the app on my phone to access my bank account. Like, I didn't get a debit card for yours or whatever, but we could see each other's bank accounts, and there was like no
we were like transparent with each other because we were like, okay, what are we working with?
What do we have? What are we working with? What do we need to like realistically do to make this happen?
And at the same time that we started planning our wedding, we just did Financial Peace University.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, so my parents, because I told you guys my dad is very good with money. Like my parents are on top of it with their money. They taught me in high school this thing called Financial Peace University, which is basically like 7 baby steps to building wealth. I don't remember them off the dome. Let's see. The first one is save $1,000 for an emergency fund. Second one is get out of debt. Third one is save a bigger emergency fund, which is like 3 to 6 months of expenses saved up. Then 4 is invest. 5 is save for your college,
Save for your
kids' college education. And 6 is save for your house.
I don't know. That might not be the order on the last ones. I can't remember, but
I think 6 is pay off your house. I think. So you do those 4 through 6 at the same time. And then 7 is basically build wealth and live generously.
I think it might
like
be
Dave Ramsey's thing.
Yeah. Is it 7 like videos?
I think it's more than 7 videos, but basically it talks about all of those steps.
So they have I think it's like a 2-week for free trial. So we were like,
we're gonna do this
for free
every day.
Basically every day. A year before our wedding, when we were trying to plan everything, we sat down, we watched the videos, which were like an hour long each, and they had you talk about things,
and there's modules, there's like worksheets and things.
Yeah. So that was your idea to start that, because you already kind of knew about it. And
yeah, I knew about it, but I wasn't following it as a single person. So I was like, as a couple, we were like, okay, maybe this is the best way to start off financially healthy together.
Yeah. And I'll say, as a disclaimer, we follow the plan, the financial plan, and we like use some of their tools, but we know that they're
problematic.
Yeah. Ramsey, I hope you become affirming of queer people someday.
Yeah, people get to go on the Ramsey show and like celebrate becoming debt free. And so by the way, baby, do you remember like while we were saving up for our wedding, we also paid off like $12,000 of debt. So we paid off a lot of
I don't know how
stuff while we simultaneously, we basically worked our butts off and got on the same page. But yeah, I was always thinking like we will never be able to like go on that Ramsey show and like do our debt-free celebration scream, because they
filter the people that they showcase on their podcasts. Like there's never any mention of queer people. They never invite like openly queer couples. Like it's very Christian, as they
evangelical say. Non-affirming of same-sex relationships.
It's like a full big business that's very like non-inclusive. So like doing all of these things, we like know the conflict with like what we're putting our time and spending money on some of these tools that they have, like the apps and stuff. It's disappointing, but we find value in it.
Yeah, I think we just decided, well, we agree with him financially. We disagree with him morally. So we'll eat the meat and spit out the bones. Like we'll take what we want and then ditch the rest, because I wasn't asking Ramsey for my moral advice. I was just, looking for money advice. So it's a plan that worked for us just because it seems very simple. So how did it go, like our wedding?
So I had a credit card during college.
For the points.
I had a credit card because growing up, I think my parents and adults were like, you need to have your credit score and start spending on a credit card and paying it off. So I got a credit card and I was like, woohoo. And then at some point while we were together, I was unemployed for a month or two, and then you were, and it was kind of like flip-flopping, and we hadn't figured out
during COVID.
Yeah, we hadn't figured out compromising in money. And so sometimes I would feel you wanting to buy something and I would be like, you know what, that's fine. And we didn't budget together.
Or you would say, we don't need this. And then we would struggle because we didn't get the thing. So.
I don't think we were budgeting. And so we went into debt on my credit card.
No, what happened was... No. It was during COVID and we didn't really know how long it would last and what it would look like. So we used your credit card for some groceries and for things. Like we would start putting some things on the credit card because we didn't want to blow through either of our savings. Because we didn't know what was happening with COVID.
I think we said once we get our steady jobs, we'll be able to like catch up and pay off the stuff that we put on the credit card.
Yeah, because both of our jobs got a little dicey because we were in that COVID transition time.
And I had like a temporary job and I was waiting for like a different job. And then at that point, when we had a steady income, we realized we have plenty of bills to pay and we can't like go and just pay off all the stuff we put on the credit card immediately.
Yeah.
I think we had almost $4,000 of debt on the credit card.
It was 6, babe.
Oh. And oh my gosh, the interest.
Oh my God. It was like taking $100 and just throwing it out the window every time we paid.
I think at one point we like could just pay the minimum payments because we were doing the debt plan where you pay off the smallest one first. So we were paying $100 a month towards this credit card, and then we would get like $75 that we paid them, like, or interest. So essentially we were putting in $100 and only paying off $15 or $20 of our debt.
I think it was higher than that, but yeah, basically it was like the majority of what we were paying off would just went to the interest, which is irritating. Never get a credit card. That's so annoying. I gotta let that go.
So once we went through the financial peace videos, when we paid off the credit card, I was so nervous to do it, but we cut it up. We did that. Yeah, we haven't had a credit card since.
And we've shriveled up and can't do anything. We can't buy anything. We can't do anything because we don't have a credit card.
That's not true.
Exactly. Like, I've never not been able to get into a house because of credit, you know?
Yeah, so you never had a credit card or credit score.
No, you just flash cash and give your bank statements and people let you in. And, you know, if you can pay for something with cash, they don't really care if you have credit.
Yeah. So essentially, we got rid of the credit card. We had the Excel spreadsheet. We figured out how the heck to save and pay for our wedding.
We got on a budget.
Yes.
Which I hated. I basically joined every budget meeting because we have 2 a month. So
right now, we meet pretty much every week or every other week to update our budget. And what we use is the Every Dollar app, which is a Ramsey thing, but I'm sure there's other budgeting apps out there.
I think for us, it's mainly just having a zero-based budget where it's like every single penny has a category, and you keep putting it in categories until you have nothing like left over. Everything is assigned somewhere. It's called a zero-based budget.
Yeah, and you're supposed to like meet at the beginning of every month at least. Say, okay, we're going to spend this on this on this, adjust the numbers and everything, make sure you're not like spending more than you're making sure you're saving whatever you're supposed to be saving. And then you're supposed to kind of handshake on it of like, we won't change this, you know, as much as we can. And then we meet every week to update it or put things in their little categories.
Yeah.
I think every time we have those meetings, it lifts a weight off my shoulders because in my head, it's like, we don't have enough money. We're not saving enough money. And then it's like, we're okay.
Yeah, I've noticed that for myself because like I'm very much a spender and you're very much a saver. There's always like one of those in a relationship. Like I think you're always going to have somebody who's more of a spending disposition and somebody who's more like saving. So for us, we for sure have that dynamic. And so for my little spender heart, I've noticed that the budget gives me a peace, actually, because I used to, in my like early 20s, I would just spend all the money that I had in my bank account and then be constantly stressed. Like I would hold my breath when they were going to swipe my debit card because I was like, did I make sure that I have enough money? You know?
Yeah.
And now I don't have that because now I know, we have X amount in this category.
Yeah, and sometimes it's looking at it and being like, okay, we need to figure out how to up our income, or we need to figure out canceling things so that we're not like in over our heads, or that we're on track with like paying off debt or whatever, saving money for the emergency funds and stuff like that on our goals.
Yeah.
One thing to note that's important is when you start doing budgets together.
Oh my God.
It is a whole thing.
You're going to fight. You're going to fight.
You're going to disagree.
When you start merging your finances at all, you're going to fight because you're like, for the first time, somebody else gets a say in what you're doing. And you're like, this is
you're losing control.
Yeah. So we definitely fought about it. And I would say it took a good 3 months before we stopped fighting about the budget.
More, I don't know, maybe even half a year.
Yeah. And it took compromise from both of us, you know, because you were like, we're always going over in this category. And I was like, well, then maybe that means we need to make that category bigger.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I feel like we both compromised. And with my like ADHD and general disposition, budget meetings were like torture.
They were your worst.
I hate it. It's so boring. I don't care.
I can sense you don't like doing it, and that's fine. And I'm like, I need to do this to get everything straight in my head.
Can I say which is stupid because it was my idea in the first place?
You were like, we need to be at peace with our finances, and then you were like, I hate this.
I hate everything about this.
So
just go ahead and put nails under my go ahead and torture me.
Torture me before you make me make a budget. Yeah. Oh my God. So there was a point when it was super unhealthy where I kind of got in the habit of controlling things. Like I would go on my phone and put the expenses in their categories. I would make categories bigger or smaller based on what we needed. Like I would basically do mini budget meetings.
But with yourself.
By myself. And then I was like, oh, we'll do the big budget meeting together. But then at that point, I was seeing the numbers and I was like stressed of like, oh, we're over in this thing. But then Sherell had no idea of all of that. Like I was over here stressed.
She was over here having her own little budget meetings, company of one.
And I became stressed about it, and then I would resent you of like, you don't understand.
Because I changed your budget, and I was like, I didn't even know that was what we were doing. Like, you didn't even tell me we started that category.
Yeah, and then I was like, but I showed you, look.
I was like, I wasn't there. That was you. That was all you.
So then there was a point where we realized, okay, I personally need more of these get-togethers, and I need us to sit down and do it together. So now we do it every week, and I don't really look at it during the week. I don't take any control of myself.
I do look at it during the week. That's my discipline. Your discipline is looking at it less. My discipline is looking at it more.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I look at it once or twice to keep on track, kind of, but in terms of sitting down and adjusting things or making sure we're on track, we do it together. We do it once a week, at least for now.
I think we'll continue it because I also really like being on the same page as you weekly.
Yeah, I think I've learned that it's important mentally to do it together, even though it's my natural tendency to want to take control or figure things out like every single day, just being like, okay, we're going to do this together.
How do you feel about having your own money? Because that's what people would always advise me is like, oh, make sure you make your own money. Well, have your own bank account because what if something happens?
Oh, yeah, I've heard of like I think we have friends or people that have their own bank accounts, but they're together.
Like, how do you feel about like if I were to open up a bank account with my own money and I portion part of my paycheck into that and you didn't have access to it?
I think the way that we would do that, how we're doing things now and like our values, what works for us, I think the way that would look is having our joint budget on the app and then having a category that says Sherell's like wants it category.
So basically we don't hide money from each other.
Yeah, I think that's just a value of ours, because then at some point it might turn into what it used to be of like, if I had my own little money stash because I'm really good at saving money, and then you had your
own money stash because I'm really good at making money, but I spend it on all the things I want. instead of our goals together.
It just gets complicated because at some point, what if it's like, our joint budget, we're missing money, and then it's like, oh well, Megan has money or Sherell has money, like, you know, maybe we
looking over at your little pile.
Yeah, exactly. Like, I think just for us it could get complicated.
Well, like, I agree with you, and I also feel like our marriage is a partnership in all ways. So everything from taking care of our dogs, loving on our family and community, cleaning our home, doing these projects and things that we love together, everything we do is a partnership. Yes, I have my own things that I like and I want to do myself, and vice versa, but everything we do is a partnership. Therefore, we don't hide shit from each other. Like, there's not a single thing that I hide from you unless I'm specifically trying to surprise you.
And it's like, I think we work better together. And if we had something separate just for ourselves, I don't know. I just feel like that would be giving ourselves a little cushion of trust for ourselves. Whereas like together it's hard. Like, we're constantly stretching to meet each other. We're constantly stretching to meet each other in the middle.
Yeah.
In this area, and it's a constant growth for each of us.
Yeah, and it's not like when we chose to be married, it's not my thing and your thing. Like, we together are working on this. We together are saving for this. So that, I don't know, I feel like we go a lot farther together than we do individually.
Yeah, plus I think it's the healthiest for our relationship, because if we had anything other than doing it together, it grew resentments, or it made us feel judgy towards the other person, or feel like, you know, money just gets really complicated.
It's like one of the main things people get divorces about, and we're not trying to get a divorce. So no. Okay, so what about the future, baby? Like,
yeah,
what are our future plans?
Our goals. So our goals right now are to not spend more than we make, just to stay afloat. Yeah. Our goals are to get on track for paying off the rest of our debt.
Which we're almost done.
Yeah. So we're kind of in that whole phase of things.
We're on the last bill.
Oh yeah, and then the last thing we're doing right now is like trying to save for specific life events, like visiting a friend that lives far away that we haven't visited in like ever. And I think there's just a few really high priority things
that are coming up that we're like, okay, we're gonna save for it because we don't use credit card. So
yeah. And then in the future, I think the goals are the same as the Ramsey plant, like saving months of expenses for ourselves and then figuring out how to do investing in retirement. Like, I don't know enough about all of that yet.
I know a thing or two about investing.
Yeah. I just don't really know how retirement works. Like, I think my job has a retirement thing, but that's one area that I haven't learned.
You're still contributing to it though. You just don't
I don't know. Like, I don't know how to like log into it and figure it out.
That's funny. Yeah, I think for me with investing, like, I'm more interested in investing in real estate and businesses.
Yeah, I think that's something that we want to save for and invest in the future. Aside from that.
Oh yeah, and kids.
That's what I was like, there's something else.
Yeah, I think because we've been married for 2 years, we've been together for 4. It's natural for people to be curious if we're interested in having kids. Mm-hmm. Mostly older people, millennials, are not asking us when we're having kids.
Yeah. I mean, I'm always curious if our peers are, I don't know, a lot of your family, like, they're married, they have kids. So
all my siblings decided to have kids when they were kids. That's fair. They weren't kids, but they were very young.
So yeah. I think for us, we're figuring out being intentional with it. We're thinking about adopting, and Sherell was adopted, and it's just like, it would be such a beautiful thing to provide a home for a little child. Yeah. And that requires us being able to like pay for a 2-bedroom house and like I don't know.
Where we live, which is in California, which is very expensive. You could buy a mansion in some other states for this, whatever. Yeah, I think that's where we're at. Is like, we don't really want to have, that sounds so cold, but like, we don't want to add a child's needs to our income until we can like provide for them.
Yeah, like I don't want to be parents that are trying to find a little corner of a house to put a kid in, and we always are stressed out about money or whatever. I don't want to. You
don't want to always be struggling and stressed out and exhausted.
Yeah, and I don't want to go back into more debt, and I think we would have to in order to have a child in the next I don't know. So I think that's, apart from saving money for our emergency fund, we're wanting to save money for adopting, whatever comes with that, or if
sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, even with kids, like, I don't know, like the childhood I had, like I was able to take piano lessons and violin lessons and play whatever sport I wanted to play. Like I was able to do all of these fun things that I later realized cost money to do. And it wasn't just me who did them, but all of my siblings had those types of things. And then we were able to go to college without, not all of us, but like my dad was a colonel in the Air Force. So we were able to, like, they saved up some money. So I was able to get an education without going into debt. And you were too. So there's just like a certain standard of life that I want to give to a child that we adopt. And until we can do that, then I don't think that we're ready.
Yeah, and like I want to acknowledge that a lot of people have kids and they also figure out the financials along the way, and I think that'll also be a huge part for us. But right now it's like we need to have the basics to either adopt or otherwise have a child, or like.
And there's other things we would rather, that sounds rude, but like there's other things we would rather prioritize right now financially.
Yeah, we need to make a better foundation for ourselves and a more stability for ourselves. I'm thankful that we get to be more intentional about kids.
Like we're not like, oh, guess what? I'm pregnant. Deal with it.
I mean,
figure it out.
I mean, there's such a beauty with that, but also a huge stress. Like it's both. So
honestly, like, yeah, it's a both and. I feel like I say that almost every time. It's a both and.
Yeah. Because
like if you surprised me and said, "Oh, I'm pregnant," well, I would be like, "What'd you do?"
You'd be like,
"Who'd you do?" It's another miracle.
I knew you wanted to have
Jesus
kids.
has come again. Oh, that's funny. No, like if we were able to biologically have kids the way that a lot of hetero couples are able to do it, and you surprised me, I come home from work,
or you surprised me,
or vice versa, but I know what I'm just going with this scenario. And you had like one of those little pee sticks on the table, which is gross, by the way.
Here.
First, I'd be like, get that dirty thing off the table. You peed on it. So, where's the 409? No, but I would be like, yay. Like, I can imagine I'd be really, really excited. But also, like, full disclosure, I'd be kind of terrified because it'd be like, great. So now our whole goals for our life right now are pivoted to do this path.
Yeah. But I can visualize us having a kid or kids. Like I can visualize that being a really like joy-filled thing for us, and I want it to be peaceful and joyful as much as
I know, but if I brought home a child right now, like how would you feel about it?
I would be like, where are they staying?
Here.
No room.
Bunk beds.
Bunk beds for us. We would stay.
Hey, hon, I adopted this child.
We would stay on the bottom, and well, that's the other thing is I doubt. Like there's a whole process. Like they have to make sure that we have a stable living situation for the child. They don't
just hand kids out. Like
no, it's not like just No,
they do house calls. They do like inspection. It's not the 90s anymore.
I don't know how it was.
I feel like in the 90s, I'm just speaking from my own personal experience, I feel like they just handed kids out, and now it's like,
I don't know. In any case, that is part of our plan.
Be wealthy, have kids. In that order.
I feel like be like stable, have kids, become wealthy, all kind of together.
Yes, in that order.
Yeah.
But also like enjoy not having kids right now.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's where we are. We are just, our goals right now financially, like we stay on the budget together. We don't spend more than we make. We up our income in a lot of funny random ways, including jobs like W-2s and businesses and music. Like we just do a bunch of things.
Yeah. And our side stuff, like music, we get paid for performances and stuff like that. We have to like keep track of that and put that as like self-employment in taxes. So
or
that's
like freelance jobs. We have to pay taxes on that and put that in budgets too.
Yeah. Also, we don't like, this is like something totally random, but we as a couple have decided to like basically try not to have payments for things like cars and like we have.
Which has been very hard for me lately because I've been eyeing some cars I really want to buy that I'm like, we could technically afford it, but should we?
It's just spending more money in the long run, and I don't know. So that's just something that we've stood on, not saying that that's, I don't think anything of what we're saying is like you should do this.
No, it's just what works for us.
I will say I feel peace about a lot of it.
Yeah, I do too. I like not owing people money, and I'm excited for probably this year fully finishing paying off our debt and fully saving up our like 3 to 6 months emergency fund. So,
and it's been like, I'll say we haven't been perfect and it's been hard, but we're moving forward.
What part's been hard?
I think the main part that's been hard is like doing the budget together and getting on the same page with that.
I think honestly, we've been doing a budget together for like 3 years, you know?
Yeah.
And so I feel like it just comes in waves where it's like we're really, really, really good for a long time. And then summer happens and we go on some trips and then we stop meeting together intentionally. And then all of a sudden we don't know what we're doing financially together. So
yeah,
I think we're in the wave of like, we need to have a budget meeting again.
Yeah.
So,
so I just wanted to throw that out there because I don't want to sound like, I don't know. I don't want to sound preachy or like we have it all together.
We're figuring it out. Even today I pissed Megan off because I went to go buy dog food, which is in the budget, and I came out spending $20 extra because I want to use their grooming service. And I did not, that wasn't in the budget. So I was like, it's going to be really great. It's going to be good. It's going to love it. You're going to love it. And I spent money outside the budget.
Yeah.
So we're not perfect. We're regularly having conversations where we're having to compromise, come together, adjust the budget.
Constantly communicating.
Weekly.
Yeah.
But really just daily.
Yeah. I want to know if there's anything our listeners have to say about their own money situations that has been helpful for them.
Tell us what your tips are, because we want to be pros at money.
Tips and tricks.
Ew, babe, I really hate that expression.
Why?
I don't know, I don't know, it's like so cliche, like give me your tips and tricks,
like Pinteresty.
I hate it.
Tips and tricks.
And I hate thumbnails that say tips and tricks. It just makes me want to like thumb down.
You're funny in particular, and I love you.
I love you too. What do we have coming up, babe?
Well, I think we have some gigs in October.
We're on our break.
Yeah, we've been having a gig break in September, but I think next podcast I'll have to have a list ready of our October performances so I can tell the people accurately.
If you got this far in the podcast, good for you. Feel free to leave us a review, only if it's 5 stars. Otherwise, don't bother.
Oh,
And yeah, don't forget to subscribe to YouTube because we
Yeah.
post these there too, so you can see our lovely faces.
yeah, we've been seeing like all of our new subscribers.
Yeah, it's
We
been
see
really
you
fun.
guys. We see all of our new listeners, and we really appreciate you sitting with us, being with us in these. There's some hard conversations, but mostly having fun with you. So
Yeah, we appreciate you guys being at our place, and I guess we'll see you.
see
We'll
you
see you
next
next week.
time.
Bye, guys.